do a quick intro and off we go. All right, so welcome everybody. Today we have the amazing Ann Dettori from Dettori Publishing. She's the boss member. She has been working in the book industry for, correct me if I'm wrong, 20 or 30 years, I think, Ann?
About 20. Let's
Yeah,
not
there
age
you go,
too
20
much.
years. And not only is working with self-published authors, but also has a typesetting business where she's been working with all the really big publishing houses for many years as well. So she really understands the industry. And I would have to say that my partner, Dave, who does audiobooks, always tells me how highly she's regarded in the industry. She is also a super nice woman. So welcome, Ann.
Thanks, Jules. What a beautiful intro. Thank you.
My
It's great to be
pleasure.
here. And now, if it's all right with you, I'm just going to share my screen
Sure.
and let's just hope that my tech actually
Works.
works.
And there it is.
And there it is. And now we're just going to go to, there we go. Can you just see the one screen?
We can, yes, perfect.
Right. Okay. So thanks again, Jules. It's really great to be here to be able to talk about self-publishing today and share everything with you. And the power of writing and publishing your book. Now, I thought today we'll focus mostly on the journey of nonfiction business authors,
Okay, great.
especially for women, because there is so much power in being able to share your story. And as we know, as women, we are not seen, we're constantly talking about gender equality. I was looking up before that in the media, there is something like only 30% of headlines quotes from women. We've really, writing and publishing a book is a great way of actually getting out there, being seen, and doing something for not just yourself as a business owner and an author, but also for women in general to be able to, put out our expertise and our story, because, we're not great at doing that,
No.
especially in Australia and especially as women. We are not great at standing up and owning our expertise. I'm Look, I fit into that. I don't like to sit there and blow my own trumpet and say, oh, I'm great, blah, blah, I've got all this experience. So writing and publishing a book is a great way of actually getting that out there, sharing it with people, sharing your unique point of view and your story, because it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether or not you're an accountant, financial advisor, book publisher, whatever. We've all got, a degree of expertise, but we've reached that stage in a very different process. And we also have a different set of values, what makes us excited in our industry, what we take to our authors. That's, our readers. That really is something very special and unique to us. And writing and publishing a book is a great way to do that. I mean, you can share bits in blog posts and social media posts, but you can go into the nitty-gritty of that in a
Yeah.
book. And one of the other things that we've learnt through working with a number of authors, especially through the writing and coaching stages, is you're not just helping your reader, but you learn so much as an author,
Yeah.
because, we've had people come to us and go, wow, this was like doing an MBA.
Yeah,
I've learned
right.
so much about what I know as a business owner, my level of expertise that I actually know, that I do know more than, we all do it.
Yeah.
We know our stuff, but we don't give ourselves credit for knowing as much as we know, because we just get on with it and we do it. That's
Yeah. And
what
there's
we like, especially as women. Sorry, Jules.
no, I was just going to say, and the other thing is what a lot of the big entrepreneur groups say is it's like, a big thumping business card, and it opens the doors for speaking and awards
Absolutely.
and talking about it and doing PR.
Yep,
Just brings so much with it.
it does. It just brings a different level of opening that door. As some people say, it's a business card on steroids. It has that thump value, especially, a printed book. And yeah, it can just, yeah, open up so many doors.
Yeah.
And also the other thing it can do, especially these days, because, you know, we all know things are changing so rapidly in publishing. There is new tech every day that you can learn what areas you actually need to, you know, touch up on, what areas that you need to get new skills on. That can be another thing that you can learn through the process of, you know, writing and publishing a book that, you know, especially these days, because we all know, you know, my industry, anyone that's in anything to do with tech or got that sort of background. I just saw Nikki jump on. She'd know, I'm sure everything is
Yes,
changing on a daily basis in Nikki's world. Just be
exactly.
crazy. So I thought today, when we're talking about sharing our story, the overview I'd like to give you is what to do before you write your book. So we're going to look at standing out in the crowd, defining your why, which is a really, really important aspect,
Yep.
planning your book, and then we'll have a quick look at the publishing process. So the different paths to take, editing, design, and typesetting.
Hang on, I'm just trying to stop that sound. I think it's Gillian. Just let me. Gillian,
Yeah,
I'm just going to mute you.
it's okay.
Oh, and there you are as well. You've got 5 different Gillians here. Anyway, all right, that should work.
That should work. Brief look at distribution, and then we're going to chat about the what's next. Even though that's not something I do in-house, it's something we talk to our authors from every stage of the publishing journey. Even if you haven't started thinking about a book, you need to be thinking about how you're going to market it, get PR. You know, how is your reader going to find your book? Because so many authors, especially fiction authors, poetry, other genres, they're not great at marketing their book. They don't want to be the face of it. They just want to put their book up online and people are going to find it.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. There's thousands and thousands of books out there. You have to do marketing. So it's no matter what sort of book you've got, you have to think about how your reader is going to find it. Also, a lot of people, you know, might want to create an online course with their book, or they've already got an online course and want to create a book from that, and then just speaking gigs and other things. We're just going to chat about that really briefly at the end if we have time.
Mm-hmm.
So first up, standing out in the crowd. That's really what your book is all about, especially as a business owner. You want to be able to stand out from your competitors because, you know, we're in a global market. We have been for, you know, well over a decade. And, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're an accountant, financial advisor, whatever, your competitors are anywhere, you know, they can be on a global basis. So you've really got to be able to figure out how the hell you're going to stand out in the market. And writing a book is a great way for your reader and your potential client or your current clients to learn a little bit more about you, your story, your values, your background. It helps to build that personal branding. It is an opportunity to share your unique story, you know, your why, you know, why you do what you do, why you're passionate about helping your reader. It builds the like, know, and trust factor. You know, people want to know and like you before they buy from you. It used to be there was 8 touch points before someone bought from you. I think now you've got to have 11. I haven't not 100% sure.
No. I think now somebody told me 25 last
Oh, good
week.
Lord, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So a book is a great way to build on that. And you're probably thinking, oh my God, a book for one. That's huge effort. But think about your book in terms of it's made up of all these different chapters, which can then be utilized into blog posts, social media, getting onto podcasts. Who knows it? You know, the more imaginative you are, the more you can use that content. So really, you have this tool that you can utilize. And one of the great wild things that you can do here is you can bring in things like ChatGPT to help you think about how you can utilize the content that you've written. We're going to talk a lot more about AI as we go along and where you can bring it in. I'm not a believer in using AI to write your book, because it needs to be your own words, your own thoughts, but you can use it in a great way to help with research, to help with your planning, that sort of thing. But we'll chat about that in a sec. And it builds credibility and creates professional image. You know, your reader sees that you've spent all this time, you know your stuff, you know, you are credible because, you know, you have the expertise to write a book. And one of the other great things about it is it positions you as a thought leader. You know, it provides a platform to share your unique insights and knowledge. You know, you've taken that time to write about what you know. It gives you the opportunity to increase your visibility and reach and connecting with a broader audience. Now, most of us can only work with so many people on a one-on-one basis. We don't have the capacity to, you know, actually work with a lot of clients all at once. Some of us do, but most of us don't. So it gives you a broader reach, and it opens doors to, you know, you to speaking gigs, podcasts, getting on TV, as Jules and I were talking about before. Your imagination nowadays is the limit, and you've just got to use it to reach out to people. And this is the big thing. It enhances credibility by showcasing your in-depth understanding and original thinking. And I'm really going to focus on the original thinking for a bit, because like we're just talking about, using ChatGPT and things to write it, that's not original thinking. That's you're saying, you know, you're just, ChatGPT is combing the internet for information. That's somebody else's thoughts. Yes, use it for research. Yes, use it for helping you to plan. But don't publish something and say it's your original thoughts when it's not your original thoughts. People want to connect with a human. They don't want to connect with a chatbot. They want to connect with you. So it needs to be your voice, your thoughts, and your words. So don't just put out what Chatty spits out for you. That's, you know, I'm really, really passionate about that one, because I think people will know if you just use AI to write your book, people are going to know that it's not you.
Yep.
Now, the biggest thing before you start to write, before you're picking up the pen, before you're doing anything, is to define your why. Why you're writing the book. Why you're writing it as an author, why you're writing it as a business person, and why does your reader need the book? What's in it for them? And who the reader is as well. I should have that there. Because defining your why and where it fits into your business is really important. Are you writing a book that is a tool for your current clients? Are you writing a book to open doors for you? Are you writing a book that's potentially going to be an online course? How does it fit into the business? What is the end game for the book? And also, here you really want to define your why on who the reader is and what they're going to get from your book. So if I use an example here of an author we worked with, he came to us with a manuscript. He was a doctor, and he had written it, you know, it was a very comprehensively long manuscript, but he'd written it for the patient, fellow doctors, and potential doctors that he was going to train. So it ended up being a book for nobody, because he hadn't actually planned who the reader was and what the outcome was, and also where it fit into his business. So what we had to do was go back to the beginning and work out what he needed for the first book, which was a book for patients, and rewrote it, getting rid of all the industry jargon, the medical speak, and actually what the patient needed. So if he'd defined the why first, he wouldn't have had to do that hard work. And then we've worked with another author, a male who discovered yoga later in life for his mental health. So he wrote a book on yoga, the history, all of that sort of thing, but eliminated his story. Now, men aren't going to pick up a book just on yoga. They're not going to read it. But once he included his story and his mental health journey and being in construction and all of those things, it became a much more relevant book that the reader ended up getting something out of. So planning that right from the get-go and what you and the reader need from your book is going to save you a lot of time throughout the whole process. So next, we're moving on to actual planning your book. Now, as I said in the defining your why, you're taking time here to really identify your target reader. And that is, spend time really, really researching who is going to benefit from your book. Are they a midlife woman in their 40s going through menopause? Are they, couples in their 50s looking at retirement? What are they? Really get a good sense, a picture of who they are, what their problems are, what your book is going to solve. And this is a great time where you can use ChatGPT or any other AI tool that you use to research that. Give it really good prompts. Tell them what you're wanting to write a book about. Who you think your target reader is and what they ask. What are their problems? What can my book solve? Also, really research here other books in your genre. Who are your competitors? How many books are they selling? Read one or two of them. It's not cheating. You're looking at what's out there. From the get-go, establish what your key message is. What message are you going to take through your book? What do you want your readers to get from your book? You want them to start it, but you want them to finish it. And what's that message at the end of the book? And what's that call to action? What do you want them to do at the end? Whether that's, becoming one of your clients, doing your online course, opening the doors to get, into a CEO in a major corporation, whatever it is, have a clear message throughout that you want to establish throughout the writing process.
Yeah, nice.
Create an outline for your book. So basically, a chapter outline. You don't have to stick to this at this stage, but it gives you a plan. It gives you something to work towards when you're planning what you're going to write for the day or the week, if you've got that chapter outline. So that's another great place that you can use AI to help you with that. So you can just, really nut out what the reader needs to know in each section of the book. And also, if you use AI, it might give you ideas that you've forgot about or you've overlooked, things that you think are really obvious but aren't obvious to the reader. We all do that. We get immersed in what we do. And, I'm the same. Things in publishing that I think everybody would know what they are, they don't. So, you just never presume. So using AI can really help with that. And then time management. Now, this is a big thing. So you're going to think about most business, if we're talking business books, nowadays we have shorter attention spans. We don't want massively long books. So 35,000 words, thereabout, is a good length to stick to. When you're planning on how long you want to take to write your book, work that out on how many hours you can spend in a week and actually put this in your diary, schedule the time. For me, I had to schedule the time when I was writing my book. Now that was back in 2017. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd go to the office, I'd write for an hour or so, go home, get the kids off to school. I can't write at night. To me, there was no point scheduling that because it wasn't going to happen. My brain is fried. So whatever works for you, whether or not you block out 2 hours in a day, 1 or 2 days a week, do that. And then don't think about 35,000 words. Think about the word count that you've given yourself for that time period, 1,000 words, 2,000 words, and focus on that. Because if you focus on the big picture, it gets overwhelming. Whereas if you break it down into chunks, it's much easier and you can reward yourself, even with it's a little star on the, yes, I got to my 1,000 words, whatever it is, you can reward yourself with that. Because sometimes, it gets really overwhelming and you think, I'll just take a break for a week and then it's another week. So if you just give yourself those small chunks, it just makes life a little bit more pleasant to say. So you've chunked out all that time. You've spent, let's say, 2 months writing your book, and I'm going to give you a short amount of time because at the moment, it's really easy to, for the weeks to get into months and the months years. I'm working with an author at the moment. It's taken her 20 years to get to publish the book, another one 5 years. And if you're writing a business book, your book becomes irrelevant pretty quick. So, you know, especially in some industries. So you don't want to spend all this time in the effort of writing your first draft, leaving it sit in the drawer or on your computer for years, and then go, oh, I've got to rewrite great chunks of it because it's no longer relevant, it's outdated. So give yourself that time frame, get it done, write your draft, read it again, and then think about what you're going to do with your book, because here it really will make a difference on how you get your book to market. If you're doing a business book, you want to do a book that's professional and actually reflects your expertise. You don't want to have a book that looks self-published and amateurish. There's not, you know, I help authors with self-publishing all the time. There's nothing wrong with self-publishing, but you want to do a professional book that actually reflects your expertise. You don't want to have a book that's full of mistakes, that isn't well edited, and the cover design looks like something that your 2-year-old's done. So it needs to reflect your expertise. So next up, I just want to really talk briefly about understanding the publishing path, because even when authors come to us looking at self-publishing, they will more often than not ask questions about each method of publishing. So this is just going to be really brief. So in the past, traditional publishing, they were the gatekeepers, pretty much the only way you could get your book out to the world. So that is where you submit your manuscript to likes of Penguin Random House or Pan Macmillan, all our client, you know, people we work with, and they will either accept or reject your manuscript. And if they accept it, you sign a contract, they own the rights to it, and you'll get paid a royalty on book sales, and they take care of everything for you. Lots of pros and cons, but we won't go into that today. The other option is hybrid publishing, and that really is a mixed combination of traditional and self-publishing. So like traditional publishers, you'll submit your manuscript, they might pick it up, they will own the rights, you will get paid a royalty. The difference is you will pay some sort of fee. So whether that's a fee for the service or you commit to buying 1,000 books, the books might cost $5 to print, you pay $10, something like that. If you go this way, really do your research. There's some great hybrid publishers, really good, very professional. There's also some really shoddy ones out there. So do your research. It really is time for due diligence if you go down this path. Because, yeah, you're not comparing apples with apples. And then we have self-publishing. So this really is where you have complete and absolute control. You own the rights to your book. You make all the royalties from the book sales, and you get to decide how you want to get your book to market. So we have, I know authors that do everything themselves, from doing their own editing, cover design, everything. And look, that's fine if you're doing a memoir or something, you know, that's just for, you know, your family. But if you're doing a business book, you want it to be professional. And so now I'm just going to cover some of the steps that are involved in the self-publishing process, and, you know, just chat briefly about the difference it can make to the end quality of your book. So the first thing we'll look at is, so the tips for success, quality content. You know, you want a professional book that people are going to want to buy. You've got, if you think about Amazon, you've got a thumbnail this big up online, and you've got a very short window of opportunity to get people to buy your book. If it doesn't look professional, they're not going to buy it. It doesn't matter how good it is inside. If it looks like a piece of shite, then they're going to presume the book is as well. Marketing, as I said earlier, you've got to start thinking about your marketing right from the start, because selling books is all about marketing. Your reader just doesn't know it's there unless you let them know. And building your author platform. That's also something that can help you be a successful author. So I talk about the 5-step production process. So the first one is finishing your writing. And as I said before, we've worked with authors, 20 years, that sort of thing. You need to actually set yourself a time frame, finish that writing, get it out and decide what you're going to do next. The step 2 is the editing. Step 3 is design. Step 4 is publishing it. And step 5, which basically goes across all the steps, is the marketing. Now, each one of these is individually important, but altogether it's going to really make for a successful book. So if we talk about editing, you can do this yourself, but really working with a professional editor makes such a difference. So, we work with the traditional publishers, and like we work on Matthew Riley's books, Jane Harper's, multitudes of authors. They work with a team of editors. Just because their work needs editing doesn't mean that they're not great writers. They are great writers. They're creative, but they make mistakes. We all do make mistakes when we're typing and putting things together. So an editor's role is to actually enhance your manuscript. It's got to increase, it increases the credibility for readers. They're going to look at it in an objective way and assess your work. They're going to see, identify weaknesses in it. They're going to, do you use too much industry jargon? Have you missed the point? Have you talked about something that's so clear to you, but to the reader, it just makes no sense whatsoever? And, and in works of fiction, we've had books where the main character might be Jane in the beginning, and then halfway through the author decides that she's going to change it to Sam and forgets to go back and change it. Things like that. Doesn't make you a bad writer. It just enhances your writing, because at the end of the day, the editor's role is to make sure your book is the best possible book it can be. So they'll work on the structure and the development of your book and your narrative, and they'll also look at the grammar, the punctuation. They'll do fact checking for you, and a multitude of other things. So it really, for a lot of authors, sending your book off to the editor can be really daunting, because you have that English teacher with the red pen sort of in your mind. I was no different. I remember the feeling of sending it off and getting my first edit back. And it took me days to actually open the email and have a look at it, because I was terrified. And I've had other authors, and don't do this because it's really a time waster, who spent 3 months before they could open it because they were so terrified. The editor's role is there to help you, not to be the English teacher and give you, or maybe it's just me and my English teacher. And the other thing about editing, it really does help with the marketability of your book. It's more likely to attract positive reviews, get better sales, and gain a loyal readership. And with the reviews, while we're talking about that, on Amazon especially, the more reviews you can get, the better the algorithms pick up your book, and they'll promote it to other readers looking in similar, at similar books. So if the reviews are really important, and if you have a poorly edited book, you're not going to get positive reviews. You might get some from friends and family, but readers that you don't know, they don't care. They're not going to give you a positive review. So really think about the editing and the value that it can give to your book. What we haven't talked about, and I'll just throw it in here now, is your return on investment. When we're looking at the cost of doing all of these things, it can seem expensive. And most of our authors don't get a return on investment purely from book sales. What they'll get their return on investment from is attracting new clients, getting the speaking gigs, foot in the door with big corporations, getting on TV, those sorts of things. That is where the return on investment is. So that's where we tell our authors that they need to focus on. Or also, return on investment can be creating an online course from your book, and getting people in the door that way. So that's the editing stage. The next stage is thinking about the design of your book. So designing your book is all about, something often readers don't even notice it, especially your internal pages. But your bad design is going to stop people reading. So have you ever picked up a book and, the type, it's really small type, you can't read the font's hard to read, it's just not a pleasant experience. So you stop reading. So design isn't something that's there for the readers to necessarily go and look at and go, isn't this beautiful? On highly designed books, absolutely. But for your general book, it's something that, yes, you put in time and investment in, and the reader isn't necessarily going to notice, but that's a good thing. And the big thing with design is now your book cover. So the book cover is something, we like to think, with everything, we don't judge a book by its cover, but we do, especially when you're looking online and you've got such a small amount of space. You need to capture their attention. Your cover has to speak to the reader. They need to know very quickly, get an idea about what your book is about. So you've got your front cover, which needs to speak to the reader, tell the story. You've got your back cover. So in that back cover blurb can be one of the hardest pieces of writing that you're going to actually write, because it's different copy, it's sales copy. You've got to sell yourself to the reader. What are they going to get out of your book? Why are they going to read it? It needs to be something that really captures their attention quickly and gets them to actually open your book, whether that's having a peek inside in Amazon, or if you're lucky enough to get into a bookstore to have a look at your book. And then don't forget, if you're doing the design yourself, about the book spine, because as you'll see behind me and behind Jules, all you see of a book on a bookshelf is the book spine. So you'll just have the title of your book, your name, and a logo. And a logo on a self-publishing book might sound silly, but it just means that you don't look any different to a traditionally published book. And that can just be a logo of your initials. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but just means that you don't stand out for any of the wrong reasons. And when you're thinking about designing your book cover, a great place to go can just be to Pinterest, type in bad cover designs, and you'll get a good laugh and look at, there's some hilarious, really interesting covers. And you don't want to stand out for all the wrong reasons. You want people to actually want to buy your book and for it to be professional. And when you're doing the internal pages, that's not a matter of reinventing the wheel. Have a look inside other books, get an idea of what they have in the front of the book. So we call that the front matter. So that's the prelim page, the contents, maybe a dedication. And then don't forget about the end matter of your book, which it can be the acknowledgements about the author, and the big thing, call to action. Don't forget about the call to action. How can your reader find you? Do you want them to contact you via email? Do you want them to find you on social media? What do you want them to do? Don't forget about that, and make it really, really easy for them. When you're thinking about fonts and that, I always suggest that think about the age of your target reader. If they're my age and they've got glasses and the site isn't as good as what it used to be, don't make your text too small. Make it easy to read, make it a pleasant read. But I won't go into all that because there's so much in that. The next stage, so you've got your cover design, you've done your internal pages, you've got that all ready to go, you've worked with your editor, you've done a final proofread, you're going to get your pages ready for both print and digital. So what we do is, how we work is we create our files in InDesign. So we work with a Word doc, always Word. We've tried Google Docs and it's been a disaster. Most editors will want to work in Word. They don't like anything else. It's just the easiest way of doing things. So we work with the Word document, take it to InDesign, and then we create our print files and digital files from that. There is a number of ways that you can print your book. There's the traditional offset printing, which you do get a better quality print, but unless you're doing thousands, it's really not cost effective. So the publishers will do offset printing, but generally, unless you've got a massive event on, I wouldn't suggest that. You can do your local print on demand. So now a lot of local smaller printers will offer print on demand. Used to be just the likes of Ingram Spark and the big places, but now a lot of small printers will do that. So you can print anything from 1 to 100 books, whatever you want. So that can be a great way of supporting another local small business. Then you have your Amazon. Now, Amazon have a new feature. This is very new, and I don't know anyone that's used it, but you can now upload your Microsoft Word document and they will turn it into a book for you. I don't know what it's like. I haven't heard. It's just a new feature I just saw just the other day. But you can upload your print file and your digital files to Amazon, which definitely you need to do. Amazon is a beast, but it's a beast that you just have to have. Then there's Ingram Spark, which are a print-on-demand company here in Australia, and they're global. And Ingram are great because bookstores can buy directly through there. So if you had a potential client, reader, go to a bookstore and ask for a copy of your book, they can just look it up and they can order it through Booktopia, which then gets it from Ingram Spark. So you don't have to be involved in that process. It's a really easy process to go through. And then there's Draft to Digital, which is a platform that used to just be for digital books, for the EPUBs, where you can just upload your file, you create an account, upload your file, and then they send it out to like iBooks, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, all the rest of them, and you just have one account. You get slightly less in your royalties, but just have one account. It's so much easier, and it's what we do for all of our authors, is we have that, and then we upload our other digital files to Amazon, so we keep them separate. It just makes life that much easier. So when you're doing this, you're going to need some upload information. So for all of these, so for Ingram, Amazon, Draft to Digital, you're going to create your account, and then you set up all this information. So you'll have your book description. This can just be your back cover blurb, but it's not wise just to do that because you've got so much extra space to utilize, so many more characters. So really think about how you can speak to your readers. Once here, go back, do your research, go using AI to look at other book descriptions, look at the categories that you can go into, and look at keywords, because here in your description, you can really, really utilize those keywords. What are your readers searching for? What do they type into Google? What can you include in your book description that's going to get them to your book? So do a lot of research here. And your categories, now I'd like to say that that's set in stone. Amazon have a really, really good habit of changing their categories. So there's categories and there's subcategories, and it's a minefield. So I use Katie Spy and Publisher Rocket as tools to research those. So they're really great to actually look at what books are selling in those categories, how many books you need to sell to be a bestseller, #1 bestseller, to get in the top 10, all those sorts of things. I don't know how you do it without those research tools. They are just they make life so much easier to determine which categories to go into. The territory sold, mostly that's global, and then your recommended retail price. Now here, I don't suggest just going and plucking a figure out of the air. Do your research. You don't want to be too high or too low compared to your competitors, but also you need to know your costs involved. So, what is it going to cost to print the book? What cut does Amazon take? What if you're selling through Ingram and a bookstore buys your book, you have to set up your wholesale discount. So that can be anywhere from 40 to 55%. Bookstores want to make money. They're not doing it for the love of the author. They've got to make some money. So the easiest way to determine all that is to go onto Ingram Spark and to Amazon, and they have calculators that you can use. So just chuck in a few different figures and work out the costs, and then determine your recommended retail price. Because, you know, the last thing you want to do is to set a price and then realize, oh, I'm losing money. So, or I'm making 10 cents. So just do your research there. So that's pretty much everything on the production side of things. I know we've touched on that all really, really quickly. So during that other process, now we've got, you know, the building of your author brand, how you're actually going to do that, whether that's your author brand is part of your business, whether it's separate. How are you actually going to let people know that your book's out there? So, you know, here, you know, we all know it as business owners, you've got, you know, your website. Are you going to put your book up on your website? Is that where you're going to sell it? Are you going to have a separate landing page? What are you going to do there? Does your book fit directly into your business? Is it a little side hustle? You know, just think about those things and how it all fits together. You want to have consistent branding across all platforms. And here, you know, everybody's going to be different. You know, Jules and I were talking before, Facebook and LinkedIn, maybe some Instagram. If you've got a younger demographic, TikTok and Snapchat, I think Snapchat, things that I know nothing about. But you need to be where your reader is going to be. There's no point being on Facebook if your readers are on TikTok. You've actually got to work all that out right from the get-go. And that goes across, you know, your business as well. It doesn't matter whether it's for you, you know, just for your book. You should already know that as well. Your engaging content strategy. Once again, go back to using AI and working out what that strategy can be, and having an actual plan for your launch when you're going to do it. I know with myself, I was the mechanic with the dodgy car in the front yard. I had plans, sort of, to market my book, and then I got busy and I didn't do it. And yeah, how did readers find my book? No, it's you know, do what I say, not what I do. Is that what the old saying is? Really, you know, have that plan in place, you know, and automate some of the things around your launch. If you know you're going to get busy, set up some of those things so it's all automatically there for you. Have your blog posts written already, have your social media posts all done, so it's just a matter of getting them out there. Don't sort of have it all sitting there to do at the last minute. Have your email marketing campaign already set up for your book launch. You know, what are you going to set up in your pre-launch? You know, how are you letting people know that your book is coming? You know, you can send out like a chapter as a, you know, to get them interested. You can do lots of different things, but just have all that set up beforehand. Right, just really, really briefly. So as I've talked about before, using AI. Now, this is where I think AI really comes into its own with your marketing and coming up with strategies. Once again, this isn't letting AI write everything for you, but it's coming up with ideas and taking away that blank page. So you can, another thing that I know people are talking about at the moment is putting chatbots on their website and social media. I haven't used it yet, but many chats, I think it's called, as you put that on, I think it's Facebook and Instagram. Jules, you might know more about this than me.
No idea about automation.
Well, this apparently it's called ManyChats. You put it up on your post, you ask a question. If you want to know more, say something, and then it replies. And I haven't looked into it in all details, but there's some of the things that you can utilize to, you know, help with all of getting your book out there. And like I said, yeah, your content creation, doing research into what your target reader actually, you know, what their pain points are and how your book can help them, really engaging that way. And lastly is always look for opportunities. As Jules knows with handle your own PR, getting PR, getting out there, that can be really hard for business owners and authors, putting yourself out there. I'm not good at doing that. I'm trying to get better. And I do know, a lot of my authors I don't want to do that, but you have to.
Yeah.
Source Bottle is another great place to find opportunities that when journalists or other people are looking for different, commentators. Business groups can be a really great place to, when people are reaching out for, different things. Jules's group, Australian Women Speakers, another great group to join, and put yourself out there as being a speaker. I've done a couple of events recently just at local libraries. They've been my first events. Was I nervous? Hell yeah. I got great feedback. It was really good for me. And, I should do more. And I've got to be better at doing what I tell my authors to do because, and, go to events, network, and also post signed copies of your book to people.
I said something. I've nearly committed murder many times with him.
Hang on.
We've been trying to hit.
Okay.
Someone's committed murder?
Yeah, somebody clearly is.
And that's pretty much it in a very, very brief overview of everything in publishing. And so just like to say thank you to listening to me waffle on. If you want to contact me, please do. And if anyone would like, have a free chat about what's involved in publishing or have got any questions, just reach out to me. I'd love to know more.
Great.
I shall stop sharing my screen, Jules.
Okay, you stop sharing your screen and we'll open it up to questions. To just see, has anyone got any questions? I think Cherie had one. I'm sure I saw. In fact, what I might do is I might just stop the recording now, she says, or maybe I have. Oh no, here we go.